Meeting will come to order. Clerk will call the roll. Freeman, Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, American, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky. Please stand for the Lord's Prayer, which will be led by Minister Sheila Smith from the House of the Lord.
Father in heaven, we honor and bless your name tonight. We stand before your presence, lifting up the city of Akron that sits in this high place called Summit County. In this season of Thanksgiving, we give you thanks for all your blessings of life and health and strength. We thank you for the branches of our city government, executive, judicial, legislative, safety, and security. We are so grateful for our leaders who are willing to give their time to serve on behalf of this community. Bless these who have responsibility for the welfare of the city to make decisions that affect us all. Lord, may you grant wisdom and clarity and unity to seek the common good for all. Grant us and bless us, the community and our leaders, to show humility in our approaches and civility in our attitudes. Bless this body of believers, of leaders, as they work together for a more just, more healthy, and prosperous city for us all. May your peace that surpasses all understanding guard this city and this body of leaders. We ask these petitions in the name above all names, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. Will now be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Council Representative Veronica Sims and Bruce Kilby.
Go ahead. All right. Sorry, though. The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was the first. Clerk will read the minutes from the previous meeting.
Okay, minutes from the November 5th, 2018 meeting. Council convened in regular session at 7 p.m. in the chair. All members were present except Mobian, later accused. Minutes of the previous regular meeting were approved. Reading of petitions and communications, passage of the consent agenda, report of standing and special committees, passage and referral of new ordinances and resolutions, representation from various departments and divisions, public speaking period, no further business on a motion by Fusco. Council adjourned at 7:31 p.m. to reconvene in regular session on Monday, November 19th, 2018, or special call.
Thank you. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Letters, petitions, and communications.
Okay. Petition of James Brook for conditional zoning for conditional use to expand a restaurant and construct a new retail building at 1006 South Arlington Street. Just file.
File.
A petition of Diana Melton for conditional use to establish a child daycare center for up to 12 children at 716 City.
File.
Petition of Valerie J. Zavadny for conditional use to establish an auto repair business at 248 Cole Avenue.
File.
Petition of Mary K. Fox for conditional use to establish an how do you say that one? Esthetician skincare office at 2029 West Market Street.
File.
Petition of Misty Greeter for conditional use to park a commercial box truck at 1156 Reed Avenue.
File.
Petition of Budget Dumpsters LLC for conditional use to establish a dumpster rental business and the sale of city-owned land at the southeast corner of the intersection of East Exchange Street and Fountain Street.
File.
Notice of a new D2, D2X, D3, D6 liquor permit to the Diamond
Akron LLC, doing business as the Diamond Grill at 77 and 79 West Market Street.
Attention, Mr. Swirsky.
Notice of stock of a D5JD6 liquor permit to Leaseman Enterprises LLC at 376 South Main Street.
Attention, President Somerville.
Investment earnings report for October 2018.
File. Okay. Where's my cheat sheet? At this point, excuse me, before we go into the agenda, we have a couple presentations, special presentations, I should say, here this evening. And I would like, for the first one, I would like to ask Representative Linda Amobian to please stand up and recognize our first honoree.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am very pleased this evening to introduce, and I don't think I'm really introducing him to anyone, but to recognize Mr. Ellis, because if you don't know Mr. Ellis and the family of the Ellis, I wish to find out what planet you've been on, because Mr. Ellis has been a gem in this community for a number of years. This is to recognize Mr. Ellis and his family due to the Reporter newspaper, a business that's been in operation for 50 years, and we will correct the resolution. It should be 68, told me, as we were coming up. So we will do the correction and make sure we get that corrected. But I can tell you, Mr. Ellis, that there are so many of us in this community who respect and appreciate and just want to say thank you to you. We know how difficult it is to have a business, but to have a business, and a black-owned business, for 50 years in any community is difficult. But I can tell you, you've stood strong, and you've stood the test of time. And I like to say that the news today is the history tomorrow. That's part of your newspaper. And I like to say in my ad, I said the black news today is the black history tomorrow. Be at the Akron Summit County Public Library when they honored you by digitizing your newspaper. And now you can go online, anybody, and find out all of the history of this wonderful historic paper. And we asked you to come down tonight just to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for what you've done in terms of telling our truth. And thank you for just being available to this community. I would love for this to be mayor and council as a whole. When we're done, there are other sponsors. The president could not be here. We know she just recently had a baby, but we're going to ask Mr. Ford if he could crop her in, and make sure you crop her in if you can, Mr. Ford. That would be much appreciated. So I wonder if the other members that are listed here would like to speak.
I'll be more than happy to recognize them. Okay. And how about procedurally, what we'll do is I'd like to entertain a motion that we take out of order the first item on the new list of legislation. We'll let the committee report that out, and then we'll entertain comments. Okay. Okay, is there a motion? Would you like to make that motion, Ms. Amobian, to take item number 1?
I'd like to move that we take item number 1 out of order.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you. The ayes have it. Very good. I'll ask Ms. Keith to please report out item number 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This evening, we would like to recommend the committee looked at this resolution, and we certainly commend the work that has been done throughout the city. And with that, we would like suspension of the rules with a favorable response.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So those are our wishes.
Okay, thank you. Is there any comments or questions at this point? Reference this item. Mr. Neal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to stand, and our colleague has said most of it, but I couldn't let the opportunity pass just to, again, say thank you to Mr. Ellis and to his family for what they've done for this community, journaling the history of our community. Just really thankful that we had this opportunity just to acknowledge you at this time.
Any further questions or comments? Very good. Oh. Sims, and then
Thank you, Mr.
Mayor Horgan.
President. I just want to say thank you. I think I had an opportunity to speak at the church, but I too am grateful for the legacy of your family and for the work that you've done in the community to make sure that we have an opportunity to have a voice in what gets reported as part of the news, and as my colleague Linda Moby has said, to record our history. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Mayor Horgan?
Well, first, congratulations. I'm sorry I missed the proclamation a couple of weeks ago. I know we gave you a couple. I don't want it to get lost. The fact to get lost is that you practiced 50 years of journalism, which is not easy in today's age when we can all take out our phone and get news immediately, and you still practice that weekly. And I still like getting the smudges on my fingers by reading the daily. So congratulations again.
Thank you, Mayor. Any further questions or comments? Okay, very good. Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Roll call.
Roll call on passage: Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Absolutely. Very good. Thank you all. At this point, we're going to ask Mr. Ellis if he'd like to say a few words.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and supporting and honoring the work of the staff of the Reporter, of which I'm the editor-publisher, luckily for myself. I came here in 73 as a student going to grad school, and I ended up falling in love with Akron. My father just happened to start the newspaper, and I came along to help him in his work, not really knowing all the ramifications of what the job entailed. And I learned so much from being here in the city of Akron. I've gone through all the ups and the downs of the city, watching different administrations do different things, seeing the economic climate move up and down here in the city. And yet, with all the downs that we had, we've always been able to bounce back. And I think I credit that a lot to the administrations of the city and the leadership of the council members who were here, who through the different ups and downs that it was. And I also wanted to commend the leadership of the African American community, because without the diversity and the hard work that they put in, a lot of the accomplishments in the city of Akron would never happen. And because of all of our work together, we've become a true all-American city. Now, as Mayor Horgan has said, it's very challenging to do a newspaper, not only a daily, but a weekly or even a monthly newspaper. It's a very difficult thing to do. But we have, dedicated ourselves to the task. And, my family and a lot of my staff members who could not be here because, believe it or not, we're working on the next edition before the holidays. So everybody is hustling around trying to get their stories in for this week's paper. But I just want to let you know that, I appreciate this award. I'm humbled by it, and I'm sure that I will find a place at our office that will prominently display this proclamation from City Council. And I'm hoping that you understand that if there's anything that I can do for the betterment of the city, or for you representing your various wards, do not hesitate to call me at any time, and I will do my best, because I have, just like you have, the best thing for the city at heart. Thank you very much.
Please indulge us real quick. We're going to take a group photo real fast.
Don't try this at home. Everybody, we get counsel. Make sure I can see you. Everybody, Donnie, make sure I can see you. Ward 7's got to be counted here. Okay, here we go. I'm going to count to 3. Smiles, 3 pictures. Yeah, never good at that. 3 pictures. Here we go. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. Oh, that's so good. I'm going to take 2 more. 2 more. On 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1 more. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you. Excuse me. We also have, we would also like to recognize our Utilities Bureau. We also have Dan Johnson here with the Ohio Water Environment Association. And he has some words for us. Some very, very good words, as a matter of fact. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. This is good news. I represent the Ohio Water Environment Association. We're part of the Ohio Water Environment Association is one of the bigger state members of the Water Environment Federation, which is a premier and the largest wastewater organization in the U.S. Members include superintendents, wastewater managers, design engineers, equipment vendors. And in 2018, Ohio WA gave awards in Columbus with about 1,000 people in attendance, and national awards were given in New Orleans at the national conference with about 20,000 people in attendance. Akron staff won or were part of winners of 2 state awards and 2 national awards, which is pretty impressive for any one city. So we thought it was appropriate to announce the good news to you, our local the leaders, and to the public here, as well as to the conferences where they received the awards. To help present the awards, we have local representatives of OWA. Kathy Richards from the Water Reclamation Facility is actually the state representative to the national organization. And Jim Cooper, a local engineer with Arcadis, is the current president of the Northeast section of OWA. So we thought we would let them hand out awards to some of the Akron people that have won recently, these state and national awards. There is a flyer that I think all the council people have that gives more description of the awards, and there's also, they're on the table outside. So if you want to get more information, I'm just going to give a brief description of the awards as I mention all 4 of them. And first of the state awards is the Engineering Excellence Award. There's only one project that wins statewide per year, and the project must have been in operation for at least 1 year and not more than 5 years. And the Akron Step Feed Phase 1 project at the Water Reclamation Facility won this award for a very successful, cost-effective expansion of treatment capacity. Tom Sanderson was the operations leader who was involved with the project from design through construction and making it operational. And Jenny Hanna was the project manager for the project on the design side. So we want to recognize these two for the Excellence Award. So the second of the state awards, these are all, being on the awards committee, we see the nominations that come through. Actually, Mary Ann Driscoll and Debbie Hottestell are here too. They were on the awards committee. But we see how good the other nominees are, so to win these awards is pretty impressive. But anyway, the second of the state awards is the Facility Image Award. This is an award for organizations that have enhanced the image of our wastewater profession. In this case, through outreach programs to the public. And the Akron Waterways Renewed Public Outreach Program won this award for its impressive outreach program with events and programs such as, and you might be aware of some of these, the Blue Heron Homecoming, the Akron Student Engineering Program, the Trolley Tours, the Rain Barrel Program, the 2-for-1 Tree Program, and many community events to educate the public on the program and its benefits, to increase social media and web presence, to inform interested parties about ongoing work, and to establish a rapport with the public, and highlight the program's cooperation with the EPA. So accepting this award is not Eco the mascot, but and not today. Pat Ullman, who's the project manager, a program manager for the Akron Waterways Renewed, and Heather Bolstridge, who's the communications manager.
There we go.
So now we have 2 national awards. It's pretty rare. We don't even see through the section national awards come through, but to have 2 of these for the city of Akron is pretty special. First of these awards is the Gascoigne Medal, which I had to look up how to pronounce that. But this medal is awarded to the author, or in this case authors, of an article that presents the solution of an important and complicated operational problem with a full-scale operating wastewater treatment plant. And Tom Smith from the Water Reclamation Facility was one of the authors on this article about significantly increasing peak wet weather treatment at the wastewater reclamation facility. Congratulations, Tom. And last, but certainly not least, is another prestigious national award. Jim Hewitt won the National Collection System Award. This award is given to one person across the country per year for contributions to the advancement of the state of wastewater collection. Winners of this award are incredible national industry leaders, and it is great to have one of those national leaders here with us in Akron. Jim won the award for making significant improvements to the city of Akron's collection system operations and providing industry leadership at the local, state, and national levels. He is currently Vice Chair of the Wealth Collection Systems Committee and past Chair of the Collection Specialty Conference Committee, which organizes the national conferences on collection systems. So Jim, congratulations on winning this National Collection System Award. It's a pretty big deal. Akron can be proud of these good people who are managing the wastewater collection system and the treatment systems, as demonstrated by these awards. But really, there's so many good people in the system that make this happen. And thanks for including us on the recognition of these award winners in your agenda.
No, thank you. We're so proud of you guys. Absolutely. It's amazing what you do with the STEM, working with Glenn Stevens and his group, and what you're doing to push out the next generation of future leaders in the Utilities Bureau. We truly have a world-class organization there, so thank you for all you do. At this point, we'll now move into the, did we do consent agenda? Consent agenda. Is there a motion to suspend the rules on the consent agenda? Motion to is there a second? Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? The ayes have it.
Roll call, final passage. Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Key, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amovian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Very good. We'll go on to committee reports. Rules, Ms. Keith.
The committee would like time.
Very good. Next is planning. If there's individuals here that wish to testify before council, we have 3 items that are up for a public hearing. You will need to be sworn in by a representative of our law department. So if you wish to testify before council this evening, please stand and be sworn in by a representative from our law department.
If you plan to speak at any of the public hearings this evening, please stand, raise your right hand, and answer in the affirmative. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth to the best of your knowledge? Thank you.
Thank you. Do you read in the first
Mr. Antonucci.
one? Okay, very good. The first item.
There he is. I can read it in. He'll do it.
Read in the first item.
Let's see. 1 second, there, Mike. There we go. Okay. Legal notice. Notice hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, November 19, 2018, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m., Council Chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a convenience store at 359 Eastland.
Mr. Antonucci.
Mr. President, members of council, Mustafa Geith is requesting permission to establish a convenience store at on this property. The existing building contains a total of 720 square feet of area. One goal of the Land Use and Development Guide Plan is to preserve and protect residential neighborhoods and to guide retail uses to areas that have minimal impact on adjacent property. This property has not been zoned for retail uses since 1978, and all the abutting uses are residential. The section of Eastland Avenue is developed with residential uses, and the proposed use is out of character and intrusive to the neighborhood. The planning staff and planning commission recommended disapproval, and city council voted disapproval in 2013 of a similar request to establish a convenience store at this location. Planning staff is still of the opinion that there are better suited areas to establish a convenience store and does not support this request, and both Planning Commission and planning staff recommend disapproval.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this point, we'll open up for the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the proposed conditional use at 359 Eastland Avenue? If you can please step forward and provide for the committee or for the council your name and address. You have 3 minutes to address council. Anyone else, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use at 359 Eastland Avenue? Anyone in favor? Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I'm the one that bought the property. When I bought the property...
Sir, we need your name and address.
Oh, my name is Mustafa Geith. I live at 863 Triplet Boulevard, Akron, Ohio, 44306.
Thank you.
And I actually bought the 359 Eastland property. The reason I bought it is because I was in favor to open up a drive-through, if I could. They told me, when I bought it, the realtor told me it was commercial. I got the property, now they're telling me it's residential. So I had to go through you guys to get it voted to pass. And, you know, if I knew that it wasn't commercial, I would have never bought it. The property looks like a commercial property, doesn't look residential. We have pictures to show you guys. I don't know how they got residential out of it, but they're saying it's residential and we're fighting to get it commercial, so.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use at 359 Eastland Avenue? Anyone else in favor? Anyone wishing to speak against the conditional use at 359 Eastland Avenue? Anyone against? Yes, sir. If you could please provide for the committee your name and address.
Yes. My name is Robert Hughes. I stay at 345 Eastland. I've been at the property for about 8 years. My house, when I bought it, it was new. and that property has always been there. And I sort of knew the man who owned it, and he fought to sell it to people. And the people that he always wanted to sell it to, they always wanted to make it a convenience store. And I have talked with Councilman Milkovich on this problem before, and actually the city of Akron, they wanted to buy the property from him, but he didn't want to sell it. So now, all of a sudden, he sells it, and he sells it to somebody without explaining the conditions and the terms of that. It's not a, it cannot be a convenience store or drive-through or anything else. So even though he knew that the people that he had let occupy it before, they tried to make it a convenience store, and it turned out badly. We had a lot of traffic going on. We had like a lot of things that shouldn't actually go on in the neighborhood because they wanted to build new houses right next to them. I actually stayed right next to a lot that's next to the store. And what they did was a lot of traffic going around. There's a lot of litter, a lot of bottles, a lot of different things going on. And they actually, on the 4th of July, they had a 4th of July like picnic, and they were shooting and different other things. But this is nothing against the guy, the young entrepreneur. It's just that it's not really convenient for what he wants it for, whether he sees it that way or not, And I've always fought in my particular neighborhood. Like I had a bus stop in the front of my house, and I had to fight for that, and I had to fight for different things. And I've always talked to Milkovich on these different issues, and this is just another issue. So I'm like the stand-up in my neighborhood, and so it's, and I know a lot of other people are, but they haven't come out. But at the same time, I'm standing here, against it, and it's really not a good idea. And I wish they would go and build some more houses next to mine so we can complete the neighborhood, and I don't think it's a good idea to have a convenience store right in the middle of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Anyone else here wishing to speak against this proposal? Anyone wishing to speak against? Very good. At this point, I'd like to ask, what are the wishes of the committee?
Mr. President, I'd like to poll the committee to accept the disapproval of the staff. Mr. Kamer, Mr. Neal, Mrs. Swirsky, Mr. Fusco. We're accepting the disapproval of the committee's recommendation and ask for suspension of the rules to do that.
Okay. Suspension of the rules with a favor, or with a disapproval?
Of disapproval, yes. I spoke with Mr. Gates, and I told him, and this is hopefully a good example for other potential buyers, that whenever you're buying something, it's always good to check it out with the city so that you know what you're purchasing and whether or not you're purchasing the right property for the right project. And in this case, this is a residential neighborhood, and it is not suited for commercial development.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, very good. Hearing none. All those in favor of the adverse report signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? The ayes have it. Roll call, Mr.
Roll
Keith.
call on the adverse report. Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Item number 2.
Public hearing number 2. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on November 19th, 2018, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a parking lot addition at 722 and 726 Sherman Street.
Mr. Antonucci.
Mr. President, members of council, Flagship Akron Investments LLC is requesting permission to expand the parking lot of CSL Plasma onto 2 residentially zoned properties. Petitioner owns CSL Plasma which is to the west of the dwellings at 722 and 726 Sherman Street. Due to the reconfiguration of I-76 and 77, Grant Street was widened, eliminating 12 of CSL Plasma's parking spaces along Grant Street. For that reason, the petitioner intends to purchase and raise the remaining 2 dwellings along Sherman Street and construct a 16-space paved parking lot in its place. The block will now be entirely comprised by the CSL Plasma building and its parking area and eliminate the 2 outlier residences. A small detention pond will mitigate excess water runoff due to the additional asphalt. Both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, we'll open it up for public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request for a parking lot addition at 722 and 726 Sherman Street? If you could please provide for council your name and address.
My name is Gordy Germany, and my address is 3456 Hardy Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30341. We own the property that is adjacent and abuts these 2 homes. These 2 homes basically will complete the entire block, and as a result of losing some spaces, we want to pick up some spaces as he described, and we would like to try to get started on it. It would mean demolishing the 2 homes and then putting a surface lot there, and we'd like to try to get it started sometime in December if we could.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your support.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request on Sherman Street? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak against this proposal on Sherman Street? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone? Okay, very good. What are the wishes of the committee?
Mr. President, I'd like to poll the committee for a favorable report. Mr. Kamer? Aye. Mr. Neal? Aye. Mr. Swirsky? Aye. Mr. Fusco?
Aye.
The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Thank you. Any further comments?
Just that the owner indicated today that because of the expansion of the expressway, they're losing some of their parking, and purchasing the 2 parcels of land next door and tearing those houses down will give them the opportunity to expand their parking.
Thank you. Further comments or questions at this point? Very good. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Mr. Clerk.
Roll call and final passage. Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Sample, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Okay.
Item number 3.
Item number 3, third public hearing tonight. Notice is hereby given, and a public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, November 19, 2018, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. in council chambers, 166 South High Street, upon an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct a gasoline fueling station and convenience store at the southeast corner of Britton Road and Eastwood Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Antonucci first. We'll get a report from the Planning Department.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of council. Max Convenience Stores, LLC, doing business as Circle K, is seeking approval to construct a convenience store and fueling station at this location. The existing bookstore and barber shop would be raised to clear the lot for the proposed development. A new 4,300 square foot convenience store would be sited toward the northeast corner of this property. Exterior materials would include a combination of red brick and stone masonry with an anodized aluminum storefront window system. A canopy measuring 24 feet by 126 feet would shelter 10 gas pumps west of the store. The petitioner has met with city personnel to proactively resolve any issues. The traffic engineer is comfortable with the location of the access drives. The planned solid fencing, along with the differences in elevation, should minimize any disruptions from surrounding residential uses to the south and east. This convenience store and fuel station represents a $3 million investment in this Goodyear Heights neighborhood and it is anticipated it will create approximately 25 new jobs. The attractive development will add vitality to this retail intersection and provide a valuable amenity to the neighborhood, and both Planning Commission and Planning staff recommend approval subject to conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. At this point, we'll ask for any comments in favor of the conditional use request on Britton Road and Eastwood Avenue. If there's anyone wishing to speak in favor.
Hello, my name is Savannah Vandekamp Pete, and my office address is 910 East Talmadge Avenue in Akron, Ohio, 44310. I'm the project manager responsible for this development. Thank you for having me here tonight. I work for Circle K in the real estate department. As Mr. Antonucci said, we're proposing to build our latest prototype of store at this location. There's 3 parcels involved in what we would hope to consolidate and put our building on. We're looking for help from City Council to approve our conditional use for fuel sales. These lots are already zoned commercial. So I'd love to answer any questions that the council had. I would like to say before ceding the floor that this is the first project that I've been involved in Akron proper. Our corporate office is actually headquartered 3 miles away from this site. So this one's personal for us and for me. I live in Akron, and we're excited to do what we're proposing there with our new build. I have the latest elevation, and I can circulate that if anyone is unfamiliar with what the project looks like, but also just excited for the opportunity to invest in the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request at the southeast corner of Britton Road and Eastwood Avenue? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Connor. My address is 867 Morningview Avenue. As a longtime advocate for the Goodyear Heights neighborhood, I would like to express my strong support for the new Circle K gasoline fueling station and convenience store to be located at the southeast corner of Britton Road and Eastwood Avenue. This project is important to our neighborhood for a number of reasons. First, it will redevelop an underdeveloped corner of this intersection, providing a clean, bright new business in an area that has not seen any new development in quite some time. It will reestablish a fueling station on a major byway where there had historically been a gas station for a number of years. It will provide a new stream of employment within this residential neighborhood. The Circle K Corporation has been in business over 60 years and is a global brand in over 20 countries. Our community is always in search of businesses that support education, culture, health, wellness, employment, and community pride. The Circle K will become a partner in our continued growth and is extremely important for our community. I am grateful for this opportunity to address City Council, and I strongly recommend support and welcome Circle K to Goodyear Heights.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of this conditional use request? Anyone else to speak in favor?
Good evening, leaders and citizens of Akron. My name is Paul Connor. I reside at 867 Morningview Avenue in Akron, 44305. I've been a resident of Goodyear Heights for 35 years, and I am just thrilled about this evening's opportunity. Think back to when you chose your home you are currently living in. Think about the reasons you chose that home. Was it in a nice neighborhood? One that made you feel safe? Was it in a good school district where you were close to highways, grocery stores, and shopping for day-to-day living? Was it a neighborhood that showed promise for the foreseeable future? How disappointed would you be if over the years you saw businesses slip away, homes become vacant or run down? Whose responsibility is it to do what is ever possible to maintain our neighborhoods so that it continues to be stable and improve our deficiencies? It is us, the neighbors, that sometimes need to step up. Is it not true that the city of Akron continues to look for ways to improve our city? Do you not look for companies and entertainment and education and recreational opportunities to make this city attractive? For 20 years, Sharon and I have done our best to make great things happen in Goodyear Heights. Tonight, we have an opportunity to add another jewel to our neighborhood. So we are here to voice our support for the proposed Circle K gas station that will bring convenience and jobs and tax dollars. I'd like to thank Circle K for making this opportunity possible, for helping to improve our daily lives. I urge the City Council to approve this measure. And in closing, I'd like to thank the Streets Division for paving Goodyear Heights Boulevard and Chapman Road. I knew it had been on the book for some time, and when it was recently completed, we were all better off. So thank you very much.
Thanks. Anyone else here wishing to speak in favor of the conditional use request? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Okay, very good. Anyone wishing to speak against the conditional use request at the southeast corner of Britton Road and Eastland Avenue? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone? Hearing none. What is the wishes of the committee?
I'd like to poll the committee for a favorable report. Mr. Kamer? Aye. Mr. Neal? Aye. Mr. Swirsky? Aye. Mr. Fusco?
Aye.
The committee's report is favorable, and we ask for suspension of the rules.
Yes, thank you. Is there a report on this particular item?
Yes, we had the petitioner came down this afternoon as well, and there were, as you heard tonight, there were a number of neighbors or vendors or entrepreneurs who came down in support of this project, and there were two in particular who had opportunities to sell their business to a payday loan service and chose not to do it, and they are very supportive of Circle K going in here because they feel that this is better for the community and better for the neighborhood. So with that, we ask for its passage and suspension of the rules.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments from anyone? Mr. Kilby?
Thank you, Mr. President. I live close to the site. I've lived there for almost 20 years. This is good development. When someone wants to come in and spend $3 million, that's good. It'll be convenient for the people. There's really no gas stations close by. But while I support what they're doing, I have some reservations about Circle K not paying a living wage to their clerks. I know some people that work there, and I understand they're complying with the minimum wage, but I think a big corporation like Circle K can do a little better than the minimum. These are our people, the working poor, that we represent. And I just think they need to look at it. I think Walmart has looked at they're paying what they pay, and they've boosted a little bit voluntarily. And I would like, and we don't have the authority to do that, but the Supreme Court said we don't have the authority as a municipality to have a minimum wage, but I wish we did. Because I know a lot of people that work at Circle K stores that are not paid a living wage, and these are mostly women that have children. And I think it's unconscionable that a big corporation just pays the minimum. That's all I got to say.
Further questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? The ayes have it. Roll call, Mr. Keith.
Roll call, final passage. Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Mobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Thank you. Item number 4, 5, 6, and 7 is a report to file. Report of the committees to file.
We'll go 5, 4 through 7.
Thank you. Report of the committees to file. Item number 8, there's a substitute. Mr. Clerk, if you'd like to read that in.
Yes. Offered by Councilman Kamer, ordinance amending and or supplementing Title VII Traffic Code,
Chapter 76.
That's the wrong one.
I think it's the wrong legislation.
We're still in planning.
It's from safety, right?
No,
It's a substitute,
safety,
7A.
Planning, 7A.
Okay.
Yeah. Here it is, right here.
You got it? Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Offered by Fusco, ordinance amending and/or supplementing Title 15 Land Usage, Chapter 153, Zoning Code, Section 153.140, definitions by defining supportive housing, and Section 153.305F, private parking for residents, occupants, by revising the amount required off-street residential parking requirements and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Ms. Mobian?
Yes, Mr. Keith, this should be offered by Fusco and Amobian.
Okay.
The committee would like to take time on this ordinance. It came in today. Essentially, it is to, I think it was Ms. Fusco that suggested the administration reviewed the previous ordinance and decided to add some parking spaces to supportive housing units. And we want to give the body an opportunity to review this and ask any questions you have. So we're asking time.
Thank you. And Mr. Swirsky would like his name added as well.
Who's that?
Correct? Mr. Swirsky?
Right. Now, can I make a brief comment?
Sure.
Yeah, just, I don't think anybody has any question about the intention of this ordinance. It's a small thing, but it will reduce our sewer costs. It will give more value to the land that's there, and will reduce the cost for the builders. I think there's just some little bit of language that needs to be cleaned up.
Thank you very much. We will take time on that particular item until next week. What's the wishes of the committee on the balance of the agenda?
Time on the balance, please.
Very good. Now we'll move into public safety. Mr. Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is to place this item on consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Kamer. At this point, we'll move into the new list of legislation. First item is item number 2, Mr. Clerk.
1 second. There we go. Item number 2. Offered by Keith, ordinance providing for temporary appropriation for the current expenses and other expenses and capital outlays of the City of Akron for the period of January 1st, 2019 through March 31st, 2019, and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Keith.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee would like this to be placed on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Item number 3.
Let me read it in, sir. Ordinance offered by Councilman Deal. Ordinance approving and authorizing the expenditure of $10,000 previously designated for My Neighborhood, Our Akron, for the purchase of a 1-year subscription to the Balancing Act Pro taxpayer receipt and meeting mode software as approved by ordinance number 100-2018 and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Keith.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee would like time on this item.
Thank you. Item number 4.
Item number 4, offered by Amobian. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee without the formality of publicly advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts to purchase the property located at 201 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio, 44308, known as the Carlton Building, from JMS Place Limited, JMS, and then immediately sell it to Pritt Properties, LLC, allowing Pritt to carry out the downtown renewal plan as set forth in ordinance number 255, 2014, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Mobian.
The committee's report is favorable, and
consent agenda?
Oh, well, Stephanie wanted it on the consent agenda.
oh, this is on, thank you very much.
Okay.
Consent agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 5, offered by Amobian. Ordinance authorizing the purchase of vacant lots on Kelly Avenue and Weeks Street for the CSO Project 3 Kelly Green Project and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Mobian.
I believe, is this consent as well?
Yes.
Thank you very much. We had a long meeting today.
Yes, we did.
Very long. Go ahead.
Did indeed. Item number,
I saw it all. Offered by Amobian, ordinance approving the sale of city-owned property located at 146 South High Street, Akron, Ohio, determining said property is not needed for public use and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Movian.
And consent as well.
It is. Thank you so much. And I know one is not consent. Okay, I know the last piece. Let's go.
Yeah, you can talk on this one.
Okay.
Ordinance number 7, offered by Amobian, Fusco, Sims, and Keith. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into a lease agreement with Stark State College to lease city-owned land at the Akron Fulton Airport for use as a commercial driver's licensed driving school and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Mobian.
Now, this particular legislation, we're asking for passage tonight and suspension of the rules.
Correct.
And we have Dr. Jones and Mr. Mullen here. I don't know if they want to address the council, but they're proposing to start a CDL program out by the Fulton Airport. And as I indicated this afternoon, that one of the recommendations of the Blue Ribbon Task Force was to try to find ways to utilize that property out there by the airport to generate revenue and opportunities, and this certainly does both of those. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Jones, President of Stark State College, Akron. Well, all of the colleges, but she's here to talk about the Akron branch. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Para Jones, president of Stark State College. My address is 365 Perkins, Akron. I'm here to talk about the city's lease with Stark State College to allow us to move quickly to apply for permission from FAA for our commercial driver's license facility at the new Akron Executive Airport, AKR. We're part of a larger economic development plan. As Stark State started looking at this CDL training need, we first saw the need in Ohio Means Jobs data, and we also heard it from many of the, the third-party data. But when we started talking to local companies across the state and nation, it became very apparent to us that this need for CDL drivers is greater than it's ever been in the history of the United States, and that's exactly what we've heard from the Ohio Trucking Association and other experts. So we would like to move quickly on this. I don't want to go through a lot of the details other than to give you a few facts about CDL. It is one of the highest demand jobs in the nation, the state, the region, and right here in the Akron area. Many of us know that Akron is known for making and moving things, so this is a particularly appropriate program for us. And as we started talking to businesses again, we have trucking companies, manufacturers, and others lined up to support and use this facility. CDL training is a 7-week program, and students who complete the program and pass the licensure begin starting salaries right here in our area are $60,000 to $70,000 a year. And within a few years, CDL drivers can move to close to $100,000. We'd like to move quickly again on this because of the weather. We'd like to start the site work on the project, and also because of the approval cycle for the FAA. So I'll stop there and entertain any questions, but thank the council for considering this emergency legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Very good. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? The ayes have it. Roll call.
Roll call and final passage. Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Item number 8.
Item number 8, offered by Keith. Ordinance authorizing Director of Public Service or his designee, without the formality of publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts with Best Equipment Company for the purchase of 2 used rear-loading Packer trucks and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Keith?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, the committee met today, and we would like to have suspension of rules because of our favorable report.
Thank you very much. Further comments?
Well, we need these.
Okay.
And they are used.
Short and concise.
And I have to tell you, this came in, and the minute one of these come up, and they're in the condition that we can use them, we got to jump on it. That's why suspension of rules, because these just came up for us to be able to bid on, and they are used. However, we're pretty much assured we will get 3 to 5 years of use out of them, and they're at a value compared to a brand new one. This value, we can't compete with that. So that's why we would like suspension of rules.
Thank you. Further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Roll call, Mr. Keith.
Roll call and final passage. Fusco, Hope, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Item number 9.
Item number 9, offered by Kamer, authorizing the purchasing agent after public advertising for bids to enter into a contract or contracts for the repair, renovation, or replacement of the kitchen at Fire Station number 7 and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Kamer.
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Very good. Mr. Kamer, is there a report?
Basically, this is part of the 2018 kitchen replacement program. One of our fire stations, number 7, is in need of replacement for their kitchen. With that, we're asking for passage.
Thank you, Mr. Kamer. Is there any other comments or questions on this item? Very good. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Fusco, Hoke, Kamer, Keith, Kilby, Milkovich, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Sims, Somerville, Swirsky.
Where's your sheet? It's not on here.
No, it's on your sheet.
Is it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sheet over there, look at that. That's what.
Oh, I know, but it's
Okay.
not on the agenda. Okay, very good. We'll now open it up for public comment. We'll now go to the portion of the meeting we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak to this council during this time, you can approach the podium. Please sign in and state your full name, spell your last name, and give us your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept respectful and germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from this council chambers.
My name is Willie Smith. I reside in the 5th Ward. I live at 225 Chittenden. Last name is spelled S-M-I-T-H. Today, I'm offering a plea to help establish a library in East Akron's 5th Ward precincts. East Akron's 5th Ward is without a necessary resource, a state-of-the-art library, neither in neighborhood or South Arlington Business District. Public schools and public libraries are assets for communities' enhancements when affixed in close walking proximity. When a library is not present in a neighborhood's ward, it's a failed social obligation contract between resident voters, resident taxpayers, and Akron City government and Summit County government. Services of libraries should not be limited to offering books out on loan. Libraries can go beyond traditional services and become transformational forces for city and county government and moderate income earners and low income earners within the ward. By inserting trained city and county benefits personnel in populous, dense urban settings within the library, many moderate and low income residents need medical, food, and cash assistance, but finding it difficult and costly to travel where city and county offices are located. A convenient stop in East Akron's 5th Ward to network will become the neighborhood's library, where trained librarians or staff will help fill out necessary paperwork and fax it to city or counties, where it's converted to converted to an email and saves information in a database. Libraries are vaults with cumulous amounts of technological information for advancing your horizons, and computers to network and share knowledge. Knowledge at your availability can be your compass that points and guides your inclinations for becoming a productive and self-sufficient citizen. Equality and justice for all, including the have-nots, East Akron's 5th Ward.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak before council during the public comment period? Please provide your name and address.
My name is Solmar Perdue Jr. I live at 1132 Hardesty Boulevard in Akron, Ohio. I'm here this evening to present our city council with a notation that as the young lady was speaking on truck driving, I was one of the people that was doing such things. Because when young men get out of prison or whatever, but my program is a year. I don't want you riding up and down the street in a semi in 7 weeks. So I normally would get and teach them, put them with someone so they can get at least a year's training before I would let them go out into the world. But this is, I want to give this letter of notation to council because this is the 3rd time I've had an incident with the city of Akron where I've taken my equipment. I did it on Funny Street, Kelly Avenue, and now on 408 Wellington. I had enough. So my other action is to seek whatever appropriate action I can. But I wanted city council, our government, to know what it is to work together in the city and not let 2 or 3 people claim they own our city rights. And I'm going to suggest that most of you are familiar with the biblical history to do Psalm 64. And I surely thank you. If anyone could pick this up, I'll be on my merry way. And y'all have a precious and blessed day.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak before council during the public speaking portion?
My name is Steve Nome, address 1928 6th Street, Cuyahoga Falls, and I'm here again to talk about retiree spouses insurance. At the council meeting of October 29th, I was amazed when James Hardy, Chief of Staff from the Mayor's Office, addressed council regarding the funding to obtain a 1-year subscription to software approved by council in Ordinance 100-2018. He noted with disdain that this software would be coming from a for-profit company and implied that such companies were only motivated by one thing, profit, and acted like profit was a dirty word. I was flabbergasted when I read in the paper that apparently Mr. Hardy is in charge of economic development in the city and has this hostility towards profit. And even though council had found city funds available for this $10,000 expense, which really is just a tiny portion of their city's finances, and it was noted that there was a 30-day trial period, which meant the city could try the software and return it if not satisfied, the mayor's office was able to put enough pressure on council to keep funding from being authorized at that meeting. That it's ironic that the city balks at spending this small percentage of their money, but had no problems with retirees with spouses under the age of 65 having to spend 40 or 50% of their pensions on health insurance. Now, the mayor's office suggested that this information, the information in the software would make the city's budgeting more easily understandable by council and the public was unnecessary because the information is already easily available and understandable. I've been coming to council and been trying to get information for over a year regarding the removal of affordable retiree spouses' health insurance and found the administration to be less than forthright, evasive, and unwilling to openly and honestly address the problems it created. And I was incensed when I saw on the city's website the Mayor Corrigan touts his success in the first year of office as implementing cost-saving reform of retirees' supplemental health benefits. Now, the city's admitted that they don't know the cost of providing insurance for retiree spouses, so to suggest that their action has resulted in significant cost savings is erroneous. I say if the city wants to, the mayor's office wants to save the city money, maybe they should cut their salaries by 40%. I think that it's time. You talked briefly about a three-branch system of government: council, the mayor's office, and the judges. It's time for council to take a stronger action and be the powerful arm of government it's intended to be. It's time to get a subcommittee together to independently review the city's action regarding retiree insurance and come up with a plan that is realistic, fair, and equitable to all. Thank you. And may you all have a happy Thanksgiving.
Anyone else wishing to speak before the council? Any other comments? Very good. Committees? Committee meetings? Do I just rattle them off?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Rules? 2:30. Have to write them in? Or you do? Budget? Budget? Planning? Public service? Public utilities? Public safety? Parks and Rec? Housing? Health and social service? Economic development? Very good. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Green and Sustainability Committee. 1 o'clock. Okay, very good. Anything else to come before council? Samples?
Thank you, Mr. President. Two things. On Thanksgiving Day, the South Arlington United Methodist Church is offering a free community dinner for those who may not be fortunate enough to have Thanksgiving dinner at home, or maybe they're houseless, from 1 to 4. And that is at 790 South Arlington Street. Reverend Schultz is the pastor over at South Arlington United Methodist Church. And again, that's from 1 to 4. It says everyone is invited, no reservations needed. Come along or bring your family. And I know they're also looking for servers as well. So,
what's the date on that?
Thanksgiving Day. And then lastly, I just want to publicly say thank you to White Space. Akron City Council is now have their own like page, so we're catching up with the mayor now. We have a like page on Facebook, so I encourage you all to go on there and invite your constituents to like our page on Facebook, and all of our YouTube videos automatically go over to our social media page. So share it, so our constituents can be involved in their city government. Thanks.
Anything else to come before council? Is there a motion to excuse President Somerville and Council Representative Freeman? Okay, very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Jeff Fusco, Vice President of Council, presiding.